hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/joy. That's forhims.com/joy for your free online visit. forhims.com/joy.
Hello, hi, attention everyone.
This is going to be a great show.
And it's the choice of a new generation.
Welcome in to Run With It. Your home for all things sports. Headlines, stories, and scoops. Get in now. 615-844-5600. 615-844-5600. And now, here's your hosts of Run With It, General Patton Cook and Ray Dosky.
Welcome back. Wow, my face is so big on the camera. I haven't seen it. It's been 2 weeks, Patton. I'm Ray Dosky. Alongside me, as always, the General Patton Cook here on Run With It. Here on this Sunday, midday, gloomy windy day. Outside, a little rain all the last couple of days after having 80s during the entire week, if you will.
Yeah, we're paying for it.
We're paying for it now. But hey, those things are short-lived. But man, Patton, those 3 days when it was like in the 80s, it was like, what a horrible tease that was. It got me so psyched. I'm ready for the summer to be here. And we're only, 3 weeks away until the start of spring?
Seriously. And the only thing I worry about, quite frankly, and good morning to you, Ray.
That's likewise, sir.
We haven't seen you in a few weeks, but it's good to be back with you. But I just hope this record-setting heat that we saw, please don't translate to the summer. No 111 days. We don't need that here. If I wanted that, I'd go to Arizona, damn it. So, but yes, it is a happy we're nearing March, Ray Dosky. March Madness is nearly upon us. I think we might need to set up another bracket challenge like we did last year.
Let's do it.
Just kind of see how we can kind of maneuver the madness of March, but there's still some regular season ball to discuss.
Absolutely. Looking over this past week in terms of games, I mean, Vandy has been hot.
Yep.
Have been hot. Of course, they lose to a team that's lost 13 straight, I believe, against LSU last week. Classic. But do they have an opportunity to make the tournament? I mean, I haven't seen the last four out. I haven't seen that yet. That they do all on ESPN, and I've got my eyes glued. But when you look at this thing, Houston's been number one the entire season, just about. And Alabama too. Tennessee's had some good games. They kind of flared up, going up and down in terms of that top 10 rankings throughout the last 3 weeks. It's been interesting. I think they have 7 SEC teams on the top 25. Wild.
Yep, really good conference this year. To your question on Vandy, I think the loss this past week eliminated pretty much all hope they had.
No, don't say that.
I know.
Don't say that.
But you just look at some of the non-conference games they had early on. The Grambling loss.
That kind of hurt them.
It's probably the nail in the coffin, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And the struggles early have kind of made SEC play, which you look at it right now, they're 5th in the SEC.
Right.
Really, really strong SEC kind of record so far, and there's still a chance to go up. You got the tiebreaker on Auburn. Of course, you just swept Florida, so you got the tiebreaker on them.
Sure.
So I think that non-conference schedule hurt them, and then that loss to LSU, you mentioned it, that won in 13 or 14 games. And, of course, they come in, KJ Williams out of Murray State, of course, transfer over to LSU after his former head coach Matt McMahon made the jump over to LSU. He explodes. He goes wild against the Commodores. But I will say this. The start of the season was very bleak, Ray, but Jerry Stackhouse has saved his job. And I know fans, including myself, you want to make it into the NCAA tournament. That's the ultimate prize, especially for Vanderbilt, who hasn't been there since Bryce Drew's first season on the job after Kevin Stallings stepping aside. That won't happen this year, more than likely, unless they make a magical run in the SEC tournament, which they could do. They've shown they can play with just about anybody except Alabama. But I think NCAA tournament is out of reach, but NIT, which was what they were in last year, they had a nice run in that. So I give credit to Jerry Stackhouse because I wasn't sure he was going to make it through the season, but credit to him and a very good SEC kind of style of play and SEC really talent that is in the conference this year. He's maneuvered it. They're above 500 and a chance to maybe crack that top 4 in the SEC, which they haven't done in a while.
Absolutely. When you look at this Vandy team, it seems like they're just so close.
Yep.
Past 2 seasons, if they don't make it to the tournament, which was like you just spoke about a few minutes ago, giving out some solid points about possibly not making with the last loss this past week, and the early losses against non-conference games might knock them out. But still, you've seen this trajectory for the Vanderbilt team going up.
Yep.
Even with all the noise that Jerry Stackhouse has had to deal with, especially when it comes to the media pundits locally here in the national market, and going in NIT last year, making some noise there, possibly going to come back this year, lost some people like Scottie Pippen Jr., what have you, lost some star players, come back and having actually a better season this year than it did last year and was almost in contention till almost literally the 25th hour to go into the tournament, but now most likely looking at an NIT invitation here. And so, yeah, kudos to them. Hopefully, like I believe that, you know, the last week and a half, 2 weeks that this brand of Vanderbilt basketball we've seen, probably the most complete basketball we've seen outside loss, probably saved Jerry Stackhouse' job to bring him back.
And Liam Robbins, give credit to him, the center for Vanderbilt, 7-footer. He has been the kind of the center point of this entire run that Vanderbilt's gone on recently, and he had another good game yesterday. They defeat Florida. They will, like I said, swept Florida for the first time, and I don't know how long they've done that, so give credit to that team as well. We'll see kind of how they maneuver these next couple of games. They got the Kentucky Wildcats, Ray, who are on a bit of an uptick right now. They, of course, the sky is falling in Lexington right now because they're not top 5 in the country. Granted, they're a really good team still, but they're not top 5, so the sky is falling. But they have an impressive win over Auburn this past weekend. They win by 20+. They got Vanderbilt coming up now. Your thoughts on the Cats, Ray, because it's a team, maybe they're not peaking right now. Maybe they're not a top 5 worthy team, but the talent they have, we know it. They got Oscar Tshiebwe, one of the best players in college basketball, coming back, of course, after his great year last year. Can the Cats make a run maybe in this SEC? They've shown they can beat Tennessee, swept them. That Alabama team that we'll talk about and some off-court issues as well for them we'll talk about a little bit later. What's your kind of mood on the Kentucky Wildcats at the moment, Ray? Because they're playing better. They're
4 straight wins in February.
4 straight.
And then you look in terms of Auburn, 20 straight against them in the RUP. So, you know, that's a big accomplishment for Kentucky. When you talk about a team that's coached by Coach Calipari here, you can never count them out.
Right.
Now, are they of what they've been in the past in terms of a top 10 talent in college basketball? Not this year, but I think they have enough to make some type of run. But look, it comes down to what happens in the SEC tournament, right? I mean, the SEC tournament, it's going to be probably a juggernaut. I mean, if you're able to survive and finish throughout that SEC and you make a deep run in the SEC tournament, I think that you probably, even for Vanderbilt, you could probably make a strong case about maybe why you should be invited into the tournament. And also, when you get into the tournament, that you might not be a sleeper. They might be more or less like anywhere between a 7 to 10 seed going into the tournament.
That's not a team if you're one of those higher seeds. You want to see the big blue rocking.
Right. So that's my. But with Coach Calipari coaching the team, my wife's a huge Kentucky fan.
Okay.
I'm talking about like Rondo, like the Rondo days.
There you go.
I watched him all the way back when I believe, what was his name? Oh, that's right, Paul Pierce, when he was there, right? So I know what this team is able to do. I know what this program is able to accomplish because they've put out talent out there, and they're always well coached, and they always make noise. Much like Michigan State.
True.
Michigan State always does that. Michigan State doesn't pull out as many stars as opposed to like a Kentucky Wildcat team. But whenever they get a chance to get into the tournament, no matter what seed they are, they always make noise.
Yeah.
You just cannot ignore them. And so, yeah, I think they, when it comes to tournament time, it's anyone's ball game. You're one or done. That's it. So, we'll see what happens. But I think that when they go through the SEC tournament and they come out, and we just spoke about, like I said, 7 teams on the top 25. So there's quality competition within that conference. You're able to go through that. Guess what? You come into the tournament already battle tested. So that would be my thoughts on the Kentucky team. I think that coming out there, make some noise in the tournament, possibly advancing maybe the first 2 rounds, get to maybe the semis. See what happens. Maybe even compete for a championship. I don't see it happening because you got the Alabamas and the Tennessees of the world, I mean, look at Arkansas. They took Alabama to the wing. They actually had the lead yesterday against Arkansas. Now, I believe UT beat, what was it, South Carolina? Is that who they beat?
Big time.
Yeah, they crushed South Carolina. So, I was kind of listening to that game, watching it a little bit as well. But, the thing is that when you look at some of these teams in the SEC, UT is so unpredictable.
I was going to ask you about UT
because we know what UT is.
They are about as an up and down team as you can get because they have the talent and really the expectation to be able to beat whoever they want on any given night. They beat Alabama at home, of course, in Thompson Bowling Arena, but they also have the potential, Ray, to shoot 3 of 30 from the three-point line and let a team who Vanderbilt is improved now, but at the time when they lose to Vanderbilt at home, that is something that they easily can do on any given night. And the whole Rick Barnes and March scenario, that gives me a little bit of pause because right now, Ray, they're not playing their best basketball. Usually they do right around now. Of course, February is also a tough month for
Do you think
March.
they peaked already?
I think they did.
You think they peaked already?
Of course, they had a cup of coffee at number 1 in the country and then proceeded to lose immediately right after
Then
that.
went to sleep.
Exactly. So, I think they might have peaked a little early. Injuries have been there for them, in all fairness. Have missed a few guys. There's really talk that they could get them back before the SEC tournament, but it's just hard to trust a Rick Barnes team in March, and especially when they've shown the ability to lose to anybody on any given night when they're at their worst. But we've seen them at their best as well, and that's really what makes it tough for me.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you with UT. I mean, they have not really shown me anything in terms of when they go into any type of tournament challenge or tournament play where you can feel confident about them being able to do. I mean, would they get swept early last season? I think was it the first round?
Yeah.
Yeah, last year they had 4 guards that was phenomenal. And they had that talent there. And to get swept so early in the NCAA tournament, so I don't have much confidence in terms of what the level of play they've showed so far. And I believe, like what I said earlier, asking you about it, have you believe that they peaked? I believe they've already have. Now, granted, maybe they just kind of go through a downslide. Maybe come back up now as they're about to, what about a week and away, 2 weeks till SEC tournament play starts happening?
Yep.
So where's the tournament? Is that here?
It's right here.
It's right here, yeah. So
if you want to watch some good basketball, there's going to be some of it in Bridgestone Arena, without a doubt. March 10th, I believe, you'll get that thing.
Next Friday.
Next Friday,
yeah.
Indeed. The Greg Pogue, John Burton Show, and the Bill King Show will be live from the Omni Nashville Hotel. You can kind of go there, listen, and then just kind of waddle your way over to Bridgestone Arena and watch a couple basketball.
Enjoy some ball game. Yeah.
Without a doubt. Now, we have talked about the good part of college basketball.
The good part. Oh, boy.
The bad part is here, Ray Dosky, and that is Alabama basketball. Nate Oates, Brandon Miller, of course, Darius Miles. We already know the situation with him. It doesn't look good, quite frankly, for him. It looks like he is going to be charged with capital murder. In Alabama, that's not a state you want to be charged with that for
not
necessarily.
At all.
But Brandon Miller and Nate Oates are in a bit of hot water right now, Ray. It's something that wasn't made aware until this week, which is Brandon Miller, Alabama's best player and one of the best players in college basketball, local product here out of Cane Ridge High School, is wrapped up in this situation, something that was not made aware of before this week. His involvement details him bringing the gun of one of the suspects to the scene. One that it was not Brandon's gun, it was one of the suspect's guns. And that gun was then used to kill, of course, the single mother, unfortunately, losing her.
Jonah Harris, yeah.
Exactly, in Tuscaloosa. Mm-hmm. Brandon, in his lawyer, his defense is that he, 1, did not know anything illegal was going to happen, and 2, did not know that the gun would be used in any sense. He brings, like I said, the weapon to the scene. That weapon is used. He is not being charged at the moment as Brandon Miller. That can change at any time, given any new evidence that is brought up. I'm not sure it will be because the evidence is already there. I just have a hard time imagining anything more is going to come out than already is. He is still playing basketball for the University of Alabama. Nate Oates had a press conference and was pretty tone deaf, quite frankly, using the words, Brandon was at the wrong place at the wrong time. We can't control college.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
We can't control college kids whenever they're out of the gym. Yada, yada, yada. So you hear it from Nate Oates. You hear it from Brandon Miller. My first question to you before we get to Nate Oates, Ray, should Brandon Miller be playing college basketball right now with his involvement in this situation, albeit he's not being charged in a criminal matter, but is it the right thing for him to be playing right now?
He was if it wasn't for these antics. I don't know. I know that he's done the pat down before when doing introductions, but that's just not called for. During opening, announcements of the starting lineup, his teammate does an opening. He's done that before. Yeah, maybe when he did it before, the times were different.
Yeah.
Now he's connected to possibly a murder because he brought the gun that was used to commit murder on an innocent citizen here. No, he's bringing on too much distractions to that team. Is he a star? Yeah. Is he a phenomenal player? Absolutely. But I don't get the whole thing. And Alabama just needs to stop caring like they care about what happened to the murder. Like they just stop pretending. Because you're not making yourselves look good. And they were asked yesterday that if you're going to ask any questions to the staff as well as players, that would be about the game. And what did the journalists ask? About what happened. They're there to do their job. They're going to get the questions they need answered. Because that is that's prominent right now. It's not the matter that Arkansas was up going into the third quarter up by like 7, and you came back and you were able to win. And then Miller Brandon's got ice in his veins. No one cares about that. But he talked about wrong place, wrong time. Did he bring the gun there? So he was asked to bring the gun to one of the accused, I believe, individuals.
Yeah. Text message show, and this is the quote, "The heat is in the hat. There's one in the head." That is the text message referred. Brandon Miller's attorney and himself say they never knew he was transporting a gun. So it's just one.
I don't want to know what's in the package.
Exactly.
I literally look. I just brought whatever was in there.
Right.
If someone tells me to bring something, you don't look into the package, I'm staying far away from that. It's all about exercising common sense. It really is.
Yeah.
If someone asks me, hey, take this envelope, take it from here, transport that. No, I'm good. Especially if I'm a collegiate athlete and have an opportunity to possibly go pro. These things will come back at you.
Right.
What are you doing?
Yeah, it's an awful situation, and there won't be any clarity anytime soon. In Alabama, I asked you the question whether or not he should be playing. Alabama has shown you what they think. They are going to continue to play. They're going to continue to win more than likely. Their
action speaks louder than words, right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. They had a fantastic win against Arkansas this weekend, but for Brandon Miller in this situation, it's not going away. Mm-hmm. And whether this will carry on. Do
you think he should be suspended?
I think
indefinitely until this thing is all resolved? That's where I feel.
It's hard for me because I think Alabama's in a pretty tough situation because, for me, I don't know how he's not being charged as an accessory to murder, quite frankly. So for the authorities not to charge him with that, they've put Alabama...
Not yet,
but usually this happens already. The evidence is there. I'm not sure why he hasn't been charged already, quite frankly. And there's new stuff coming out every day. His lawyer released this big, long statement denying everything, and whether that's true or not, I mean, that's what... Deny. Yeah, that's what a lawyer is going to do. So the authorities have put Alabama in a situation where they have to choose, and I'm not telling anybody what they don't know already. For Alabama's there to win basketball games, and if there's any chance that they can get by from playing Brandon Miller, they're going to do it because morally, I mean, college and pro athletics, morality is lost. I mean,
it's all about the product on the field as opposed to off the field.
I've been saying this for a while.
Yeah.
To think there's any morality in sports these days is laughable. I mean, you see some of the guys walking up and down the field. Joe Mixon, a guy that probably should be nowhere near a football field after what he did at Oklahoma. He's still running around playing football. So you just look around, morality's lost. So for Alabama to have any shred of chance to being able to play Brandon Miller, and they've got a great shot to win a national championship in basketball, something they never
number
do.
2 in the country.
Exactly. They never do that. They do that in football. So to me, I'm not surprised he's playing. To me, I think he probably should be suspended just for the time being. But am I surprised that Alabama, an institution that wants to win games, no chance? No. I'm not surprised. So it's a situation that's not going to go away, and it's a black eye, quite frankly, for a really good basketball team and a really good basketball player in Brandon Miller that we all have kind of seen here grow up in the Middle Tennessee area, went to high school at Cane Ridge, and right now, arguably, is the best player in college basketball, but it is brought with a big black eye of this entire situation, and we will have to see how it develops. Well, enough playing lawyer and enough playing district judge over here on Run With It. Exactly. We will send it to a break. If you want to call us, 615-844-5600 is that number. Anything and everything you want to talk about, we can do it. When we come back, the Tennessee Titans have made a few roster moves this past week, one big one, including Taylor Lewan. We will give our thoughts on that. And got a little bit more NFL news. Russell Wilson, he's got a penthouse suite in the
yes, he does.
In the Denver Broncos.
Yes, he does.
In the Denver Broncos practice facility. We will come back and we will talk more on here, Nashville Sports Radio. Run with it. Ray Dosky, Patton Cook.
Hey, you know it's a leap year, right?
No, the next leap year isn't until 2024.
Nope, it's this year. I can prove it. Here, play this new instant game from the Tennessee Lottery.
Okay. Woohoo! I won!
See what you did there?
I jumped up and down?
No, that was a leap.
Don't miss your chance to jump for joy this February with our newest instant games. You could win up to $5 million. The Tennessee Lottery. Game-changing fun. Please play responsibly.
And now, some big news from WINN. The new February instant games from the Tennessee Lottery have arrived. Now, for some bigger news, there are 4 new exciting games to choose from. And now, for our biggest news yet, you could win a top prize of $5 million.
Make a break for fun today with February instant games, only from the Tennessee Lottery. Game-changing fun. Please play responsibly.
Realtors abide by a code of ethics. This is Article 9 in action. Beth, a first-time homebuyer, knew nothing about the home buying process, except that she wanted to buy a home. But her realtor had the expertise to make sure Beth understood every document, even giving her copies to review with her lawyer so Beth could close on her first home with confidence. Complicated things explained in simple terms. The difference between an agent and a realtor is real. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Bundling car and renter's insurance with Geico is so easy, your neighbors are probably already doing it. But who? Look for the signs. Chances are they live in a home and have a car. They use money and enjoy having more of it. They probably drink lots of lemonade. Lemonade. And they've probably said something suspicious like, "I'm bundling with Geico," or "Stop spying on me with those binoculars." If so, you may want to ask them how easy it was to bundle with Geico. Bundling is easy with Geico. Just ask your neighbors.
Hey Nashville, Ray here from Run With It. Let me tell you about our sponsor, Boom Boss Craft Pizza and Tap House. And with 4 locations in Bellevue, Murfreesboro, Spring Hill, and East Nashville, they're your home for the best gourmet pizza and craft beers in Music City. Join me on Monday nights at the East Nashville location for poker night. And if you think you know everything, try Wednesday night trivia at both locations. Gourmet pizzas, craft beers, online at boombozz.com. Boom Boss Craft Pizza and Tap House.
Hey Nashville, start your day the right way with Bongo Java Cafe, located in the lobby of the Omni Nashville Hotel. Bongo Java is Nashville's oldest local coffee company. Get your day started with a freshly baked muffin and wash it down with a hot cup of dark roast or hair of the dog blend. With free Wi-Fi, you can get some work done while enjoying a toasted breakfast sandwich. Beat the traffic, treat yourself at Bongo Java Cafe, located in the lobby of the Omni Nashville Hotel, 5th Avenue, downtown Music City.
It's the afternoon stretch with Zach Williams and Bruno Reagan.
I'm not saying like Derrick Henry's going to be bad. I just don't think he's going to be able to tote the rock 330 times in a season. He did lose a half step. He was getting caught in that second level, and you saw the fumbling. If that's what their plan is, we're just going to go in again on Derrick Henry and figure this out. It just seems like the definition of insanity to me.
The afternoon stretch. Afternoon stretch with Zach Williams and Bruno Reagan.
Welcome back. Run with it. I'm Ray Dosky. That's Patton Cook behind the boards here in the Strike and Spare Family Fun Center studios. Here until about noon. Feel like you want to come and talk, chat, chop it up, whatever you want, give us a call. 615-844-5600.
We're professional chopper-uppers.
Absolutely. We like to chop it up with anyone out there talking about anything about sports. You want to talk about Alabama, college basketball. We're about to head into tournament play here. Could talk about what's going on in the NFL because the NFL season never rests, as we're about to get into that. And I believe we're going to start talking about the Titans here. Is that right, Patton?
Yeah, or that second segment, we usually kind of pigeonhole the Tennessee Titans week in, week out. There's always something, and this week there is something. Roster moves have been made, some obvious, some maybe not so obvious.
Right.
We'll start from least significant to the most significant for me.
Okay.
First one, Randy Bullock. Good riddance. About as unreliable as a kicker as you're going to get, especially from 50-plus. And, Ray, in this age of NFL kicking, if you can't kick it past 50, you're dead in the water.
Yeah.
And I thought it influenced maybe some of Mike Vrabel's decisions because he really just couldn't trust Randy Bullock outside of 45, and even then he'd still miss some. So Randy Bullock has been released, save a couple million for the Tennessee Titans. Next, Robert Woods. And in his words, I'm free on Twitter.
Who actually got a little backlash on that little tweet,
hope he would have got free a little bit more, quite frankly, from cornerbacks.
Yeah.
He is released, offered pretty much nothing the entire year. Titans traded for him, of course, but in their defense, well, to Mike Vrabel's defense, John Robinson's defense, he made the trade, damn it. He was really just supposed to be a number 2 wide receiver behind A.J. Brown, and I think that experiment probably would have went pretty well because Robert Woods was going against number 1 corners pretty much all season long. Because, I mean, are you going to put a number 1 corner on Nick Westbrook-Akina? And Traylon Burks was out for half the year at least. So you understood the Robert Woods release. Did you have any problem with Robert Woods getting released this season, Ray?
You know, when the trade was made for him to bring him to Tennessee, I thought it would probably be a good solid pick. We needed a number 2 because I felt like when we lost Corey Davis last year and A.J. Brown was the number 1 guy, I felt like that would have been a nice
you just got
blend
doubled
there. Because, when you look at Tannehill needs weapons, right? And when you look at what this offense was in terms of what they wanted to do, tight end heavy, where I believe Tannehill trusted the most. And when the year with Jonas Smith had a big year, and then you had A.J. Brown who plays like a tight end, but is physical as a tight end, but is just a phenomenal wide receiver. Corey Davis was able to do things, to impact games as well. And then, of course, we also know Derrick Henry, the Mr. Everything for this offense. I thought Robert Woods would be a good addition. And then what happens? Come up leading to draft, we trade away A.J. Brown, who was one of, I think, 4 wide receivers that were talked about being traded. I think Deebo Samuel was one. Terry McLaurin was another. I believe A.J. Brown was kind of like in the mix, but I don't think he was there. DK Metcalf was another one.
Yes.
We thought all those other wide receivers
they were the
by
least.
far would be traded before A.J. Brown was going to be traded.
Right. And they all stayed.
Well,
that's
it's just
not to get back into
it's
it,
blasphemy,
but that's
man.
what good organizations do. They don't give in.
Are you saying Washington's a good organization?
Well, with the coach, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, a great move. I don't know how they did it, but I mean that's what good organizations do. They don't give in to players at their first request.
Right.
He had a whole year to figure out with A.J. Brown. I'm going to blow a gasket over here. We'll move on from Robert Woods, but I agree with you. I think it started and ended with A.J. Brown. Once you move him on, I mean,
and that's what ended John Robinson here in Nashville.
It's tough to ask a guy coming off a knee injury to be the number 1 when he hadn't really been that in a couple years. Of course, had Cooper Kupp in L.A. Second most, I think, influential. Of course, the former Vandy man, linebacker, Zach Cunningham. He has been released from the Tennessee Titans. Was good when he was on the field, Ray, but wasn't on the field much at all, especially in year number 2 after getting released from the Houston Texans. Linebacking core maybe is a point of emphasis in the draft in the offseason. Bobby Wagner was just released.
There's another one's going to be available very soon. You know who I'm talking about, right?
I do not.
Edmonds from Buffalo.
Okay.
24 years old. They're not going to franchise tag him either.
Really?
6'5", He's a Virginia Tech Hokie.
Okay.
I mean, that's another one. If you
keep an eye on that one. But
Trayvon Edmonds.
But for Zach Cunningham, he has been released. We'll see kind of what the Titans do at the linebacking core. Dylan Cole, I thought, performed pretty well. Really a practice squad guy that came in and became a really good starter. David Long has got hamstring issues. What are you going to do with him? I'd be surprised if the Titans bring him back. He's another one. He's a linebacker that you really couldn't rely on. And you had a linebacking core of
Long,
Monty Rice, and Dylan Cole after really Cunningham and Long got injured.
Yep.
Your thoughts on the former Vandy, man? I wish it would have worked out here.
I think that, when they made the acquisition, because he was on waivers when he was available from Houston, I thought this was going to be what we need defensively. Yeah. But when you look like when he was able to come in, showed spurts, but couldn't stay consistent on the field, and that's what we needed. That's been our Achilles heel, or let me take that back. It's been the rhythm of our of this team the last 2 years, whether it be offensively or defensively. Jeffrey Simmons, pretty much the stalwart there. Bud Dupree, who's another one that we should probably talk about here. We don't know if he's going to be a post. Post June 1st cut, because I think they're going to say about, 17 or something like that $1 million. Bud Dupree hasn't really lived up to his contract for, if you ask many fans. But I think Zach Cunningham, I feel like, they can definitely look for an upgrade there, whether it be in free agency or even in the draft, because there should be a ton of great linebackers coming out this year. So, and
I've liked Mike.
There's a lot of needs this Tennessee Titans team's going to need. I think offensive line, linebacker, defensive line, I believe, is another one.
Wide receivers.
Wide receiver. There's one guy look, and you know what's going to happen is that when the draft comes, what we're going to do, we're going to pick that left tackle out of Ohio State. That's what's going to happen.
Probably.
That's what's going to happen.
If they stay put at 11.
But I'm hoping for Quentin Johnson. I'm so hoping for Quentin Johnson.
TCU?
Oh, yeah. He reminds me so much of Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
And a little bit of Julio Jones. 6'4" guy. Could take off the pump.
He killed Michigan.
Yeah. He killed Michigan. And so I'm looking for something like that. But then you start hearing rumors about Derrick Henry. And have you seen all the tweets about how
I was gonna ask
Buffalo, and then taking a pick with Von Miller? I'm like, oh, this is how it starts. This is how it starts when it comes to Derrick Henry.
It wouldn't be the Titans if there isn't trading away your best player.
How many years do you think Derrick Henry has right now?
At this level, which I want to ask you this first.
We're asking questions. I love it. We're asking
away. We haven't done a show.
No, we've got so much to talk about.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Has Derrick Henry regressed?
No. I think because of the fact that what made him regress is the fact that he had no offensive line and no other talent on that team.
I agree with you, by the way.
I feel like he hasn't regressed. It's just like he was asked to do more last year, and I think he kind of stepped up to the plate.
In the passing game as well.
In the passing game. We've never seen Derrick Henry do that. But guess what? They had no one else to pass it to. They had no one else to pass it to.
He was option number one.
Look at the wide. Look, if you look at this wide receiver core for free agency, it's not that great. You got Jacoby Myers, you got Juju Smith-Schuster, a handful of Sterling Shepard if you want to throw him out there. But in terms of players that you possibly get, DeAndre Hopkins is out there for trade, my friends. I don't care how. He's 30 years old. He's still in his prime. He was out for 2 years due to injuries. He's still got legs in him. He still can really be effective. You bring him in, or OBJ. I know that he could be a cancer or whatever, but I don't know how much of that I can believe, because you talk to other players.
I didn't hear anything out of the Rams when he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he was fine, because guess what? He was winning. He was getting the ball. Right. Well, guess what? You come to the Titans, you're going to get the ball.
Yeah.
Because right now, Tannehill, I don't even know if Tannehill's going to be the quarterback of this team, because there's
That's
talks
another
about
question.
Because is he going to be traded to the Jets? Jets is talking to anyone who could throw a football. Anyone.
Daniel Jones are talking to.
Daniel Jones wants $45 per a year. What's fat is he's going to get it. What's sad is he's going to get it. And I don't see it. And then you look at Jimmy G, who's probably going to be expensive as well. And then you look at all these other teams. I'm thinking, what are we going to do here? And then Derek Carr. David Carr literally threw him under the bus when he said, it's going to be a long process. You know what that means? That means he hasn't got an offer he wants. That's what he means when he says it's going to be a long process.
He's still looking for that number.
Yeah. The Jets say he could be a Hall of Famer. Oh, great. Yeah. David, I think he lives off of Derek Carr's career. That's all David does. And I remember he's a former number 1 overall pick for the Houston Texans. But when you look at what they're able to do, I'm just thinking okay, the reason why he said that is because not as many teams are coming in. I think he's talked to the Saints and the Jets. I believe that's the only 2 teams he's talked about right now.
The Colts, I'm sure, are quickly to follow up. That's perfect.
The whole entire NFC South is looking for a quarterback.
Yeah.
And you've got two that could possibly be on deck. Maybe Lamar Jackson might be available. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. You know what? I wouldn't be upset if Derrick Henry was traded and we picked up Saquon Barkley, my friend. How would that flip your? How would that affect you?
I'll say this. I wouldn't.
Who's younger?
He is younger and a little bit more of a.
My kid's gonna hate me by the way because he loves Derrick Henry. I love Derrick Henry too.
I know, and he can do a full kind of first, second, and third down pass catching from Saquon. I mean,
phenomenal year last year. Come back.
We saw it here at Nissan. I mean, just these kind of check downs, and he makes the first 4 guys miss, and he's got 15 yards seemingly every single time.
Tell me the difference. The difference is that Derrick Henry's been able to stay on the field.
This is true, and I'll say this: my dream Derrick Henry scenario. It involves the number 1 overall pick, Ray Dosky.
Does it really? So you want the Bears' number 1 overall pick?
I do. I look at this.
Who needs a running back? Because David Montgomery he's a free agent.
Exactly, and that's the hope. And I'm looking at these top guys. Not you, Will Levis. I'm not talking about you or Anthony Richards. I'm not talking about either one.
Why are they getting so much hype? This is what. Can I say something about that real quick? I am so tired of seeing these guys who are supposed to be bona fide stars. Like you look at C.J. Stroud, who can make every throw, and you see Bryce Young, and they talk him up, but yet they start to dagger them a little bit in terms of what they're not able to do. And they started picking up Anthony Richardson. Oh, he's got all the intangibles. He's probably got the highest ceiling. Will Levis, he's also going to be a bona fide quarterback. And they talk him up. I'm like, but they forget the negatives. Will Levis doesn't make great quarterback decisions.
Right.
He reminds me, you know who he reminds me of? Carson Wentz. That's who he reminds me of. Anthony Richardson, I don't know what to expect. Yes, he's a phenomenal athlete. But what did he do for Florida?
He lost to Vanderbilt.
Exactly. What has he done? You look at Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, who had awesome years. I don't care if Bryce Young, and this is what I hate the most, he's 6 foot and his body frame's about 185. He probably get to 200 pounds. Okay.
I mean, a week other than Tua, and maybe this is a bad example, but
Jalen Hurts. Oh yeah, Jalen Hurts is probably the biggest.
Are quarterbacks getting pile drived into the ground anymore, Ray? I mean, it's damn near illegal to just hit him outright. Now you got to kind of lay a pillow under them whenever you tackle them and make sure they don't fall to the ground too hard. I just don't worry about the size really anymore. I think you look around the NFL and you look at kind of what some of these quarterbacks are doing. You're not allowed to hit them anymore. And Bryce Young, he does have an injury history, but if you look at C.J. Stroud, and I know it's an Ohio State quarterback, but Justin Fields is a pretty damn good quarterback out of Ohio State, and maybe he doesn't. Maybe he gets traded. Do
you think he should be traded?
The Bears are certainly kind of putting that out there, and I think they're doing that to drive the price up, quite frankly. I'm not buying. I don't think so, Ray, because you look at what he did last year, and we talked about it coming into the season.
What, do you have 1,100 yards rushing
exactly.
last year?
I was really worried on how Justin Fields was going to stay alive because, one, the offensive line was bad, and two, he had Tajay Sharp being his number 1 wide receiver.
Had Claypool for a little sniff there as well.
Had him briefly, but I look, he had practically 0 weapons, and he did what he did last year. Mm-hmm. You'd be crazy not to at least give him a shot. And I know you have the number 1 overall pick, and how many more opportunities are you going to have a chance to draft 2 guys that you look probably one of the more NFL-ready quarterbacks we've seen in a while in C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. But I agree with you on Will Levis. You just look at what he does. Are the measurables great? Is he tall? Does he have a rocket arm? Sure. But just turn on the tape, for God's sake. Look what he did at Kentucky. It was pedestrian at best. And he's another one that lost to Vanderbilt at home, Will Levis. So I just have a hard time kind of looking at some of these quarterbacks and looking at
so 2 of the best quarterbacks they're trying to push out there both lost to Vanderbilt last year, right?
Yes.
And Richardson and Levis. Okay. I just wanted to.
That's elite class.
Just wanted y'all to just. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And for Bryce Young, he didn't even play the 4th quarter against Vanderbilt.
Because you're up by 30.
Exactly. So there you go. But so I think the Titans have an interesting offseason. They get rid of Taylor Lewan, which we didn't even mention, by the way. Taylor Lewan is released. Longest Titan that was on the Tennessee Titans prior to Brett Kern being released. Your thoughts on that one, Ray? Because there was some talk. Do you try and bring him back at a different number? I listened to his podcast, and he didn't say this outright, but he did make it seem like the Titans wanted to bring him back for a different number, and Taylor Lewan either didn't like that number or just wanted to send a big middle finger to the organization altogether. So he was not interested in coming back at a different number if you kind of use your context clues in the podcast.
When I watched that podcast, you know what it sounded like? Like he didn't seem like he even really thought about coming back. They listed the teams that he might go. He said, we heard the jokes. He's not going to go to time. And that's, you never know with players. Right. He talked about, I would never go play for another AFC South team. I guarantee you they offer you $25 million. You will go play for him.
Right.
You will go play for him. Come on, Taylor. We know you would. I would go and play for him. Like, look, loyalty only goes so far, right? It's almost a fault at times. But you mean to tell me if, like, Jacksonville doesn't, or, of course, the Colts don't need, but let's say Houston needs a left tackle or right tackle, because they got Tunsil down there in Houston. You mean to tell me they give you 25, which they will never do,
right?
Of two bad knees? Like, yeah. So he named the teams. He won't go to Atlanta. He'll go to Cincy. He said Cincinnati will be one.
I think Kansas City.
But if he were to make 20, it's got to be over north of 20 million because he's like, I make 20 million here on the bus.
Right.
So that's the floor. It's got to, no one's going to pay you 2 years, $40 million. Yeah. And I love Taylor Lewan. I think he was a true soldier through and through. I thought he was one of the greater Titans. I felt like if he played a little longer, he probably would have been one of the best Titans ever to play in the Titans uniform.
I said it this week, and
outside of Brad Hopkins.
Yes, outside of Brad Hopkins, to me, and I put more than just kind of what he did on the field.
Right.
I think in Titans history, he's a Mount Rushmore type of guy.
Do you think he is?
I think he is.
Even not being able to play complete seasons?
That does put a little question in it.
Yeah.
But I look at the whole culture that I give Mike Vrabel a lot of credit, but quite frankly, I think Taylor Lewan deserves a little bit more than what Mike Vrabel did because Lewan was here for the 2-14 or 2-15, 3-14,
mm-hmm.
And if it's not for Taylor Lewan, I don't think you have a Derrick Henry right now in what he did and that kind of mentality and the style of play that to me Taylor Lewan embodied to about as high as you can get because I think what he did on the field, he talked, and the one thing I loved about him so much, Ray, and we're talking like he's dead. He's not dead. He's going to go play for another NFL.
I don't think he is. I think what he's got going on with the Barstool thing, like I think that, and look, and kudos to him. Yeah. I think that he's really enjoying this whole podcasting, whatever, and he's like got all these well-connected. He's able to put stuff out there, and these other networks eat whatever he has to say, whether it has to do with the Titans or not with the Titans, and he'll just run with it and he'll have fun. Him and Will Compton have got something going there, and what's going to happen now? Now his management team is going to probably talk to networks. They're probably going to be picked up by one of these major networks, whatever. He's got the option to do whatever he wants. If I'm Taylor Lewan, he's always going to be a gladiator. But, dude, you're good, man. Go hang out with this Barstool thing and have fun with me. Go with that second phase of your career and have fun. Of course, he doesn't take any advice from me, but I'm like, if I'm him, that's what I'm doing. I'm already making $20 million a year on the bus. I'm good. And I have my health, spend more time with my family. I'm good.
Yeah, and credit
to OTAs, mini camp, training camp, all this stuff. I don't have to worry about that. But it's all about, does he want a ring?
Exactly.
Right?
And I think he's put himself in the spot, and this is what NFL players, we look at a guy like Aaron Donald, and we look at a guy like maybe Tom Brady. When they've got stuff lined up after football, it's easier to step away. When you don't have anything lined up and football is your end game, like Brett Favre, like maybe
many football players.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like a lot of guys. When you don't have that thing lined up after football,
you're
more entitled to kind of stick around that extra year than maybe what you should. And I give credit to Taylor in that sense. He took
I thought you were going to give credit to Tom Brady, but never mind.
No chance. No chance. I mean, Tom Brady had that thing locked up 15 years ago, probably, if he wanted it. But yeah.
He's an exception to the rule.
Exactly. Titans have an interesting offseason. We'll talk it week in, week out. Something will happen next week. Hopefully they make that trade for the number 1 overall pick, and we can talk about it next week. But we will talk some more Titans later down the road. Coming up, we'll talk about your team. They made a coordinating hire that was incredible. I still can't believe it. And Russell Wilson. We got more drama. We got to poke fun at the Russell Wilson Bear, and you'll want to stick around for that. Run with it, Nashville Sports Radio, 615-844-5600 is that number. We'll talk more NFL coming up.
Nashville's first curling venue is here at T-Line Nashville. Come check out T-Line Nashville and experience the world's fastest growing winter sport today. Curling is a fun and simple sport that's a perfect outing for friends, corporate events, families, or parties. T-Line also has classic bowling and modern bowling mini games. With over 20 HD TVs, you can come watch your favorite teams and some of the best food and drinks here in Nashville in the large bar and grill area. They also have an outdoor area with a fire pit, and you can't forget the live music. T-Line Nashville is a one-stop shop for a great night out. Located at 106 Duluth Avenue and online at tlinenash.com. You can book your party now or give them a call at 615-439-1024. That's 615-439-1024. And make sure you give them a follow on Instagram and Facebook at T-Line Nash for all the news, events, and updates. T-Line Nashville. Nashville's first curling venue is here. Jacob the Electrician is on the air saluting the brave men and women of our U.S. military. Their tireless efforts shall never go unnoticed. This proud salute is brought to you by Jacob the Electrician, providing quality service and pride. Give Jacob the Electrician a call today at 615-582-3452. That's 615-582-3542. Jacob the Electrician, on the air saluting our troops and veterans. They're professionals who care.
Hey Nashville, Ray here. Many of us suffer from anxiety when going to the dentist. You guys need to check out my friends over at Bite Dentistry, where Dr. Lewis and her team are amazing. Bite Dentistry is where my family goes for all of our dental care. Their mission is to help patients breathe better, smile bigger, and live longer by offering a comprehensive selection of services and total dental care for every member of your family. Bite Dentistry is the only dentist in town trained and certified to offer the Vivos method that helps with people who grind their teeth at night or snore that causes sleep apnea. The Vivos technology is also provided for both kids and adults. They also work with a company called Guard Lab, which creates custom mouth guards, which are the same mouth guards used by the Tennessee Titans. Located at 3212 West End Avenue, Suite 301, Nashville, you can set up an appointment by calling them at 615-866-2129. That's 615-866-2129. And follow them on social media and online at bitedds.com.
Bundling home and car insurance with Geico is so easy, your neighbors are probably already doing it. But who? They may drop little hints like,
beautiful day out. Even more beautiful since we saved by bundling our home and car insurance with Geico.
Or,
yard work is hard. Much harder than bundling with Geico, which was easy.
Or it may be even subtler, like,
speaking of burgers, we bundled our home and car insurance with Geico and saved a bunch of money.
Bundling is easy with Geico. Just ask your neighbors.
In uncertain times, you can be certain of this. The Salvation Army is serving those most in need with help and hope. Thanks to your donations, the Salvation Army is helping those affected by COVID-19, those who've lost wages, who have no home to retreat to, who need food, help with utilities, and most of all, hope. To see how you can continue to make a difference, visit GiveWestwood.org. GiveWestwood.org.
Hey Nashville, Ray here from Run With It. Let me tell you about our sponsor, Boom Boss Craft Pizza and Tap House. And with 4 locations in Bellevue, Murfreesboro, Spring Hill, and East Nashville, they're your home for the best gourmet pizza and craft beers in Music City. Join me on Monday nights at the East Nashville location for poker night. And if you think you know everything, try Wednesday night trivia at both locations. Gourmet pizzas, craft beers, online at BoomBozz.com. Boom Boss Craft Pizza and Tap House.
With 13 locations nationally, including Smyrna, Star Leasing Company is a semi-trailer one-stop shop and the perfect place to build a career as a semi-trailer mechanic. Seeking candidates with all levels of experience, Star Leasing Company has a semi-trailer technician trainee program with sign-on and quarterly bonuses and other opportunities such as $1,000 for having a yearly physical. The package also includes 401k with company match, health, dental, and vision insurance, competitive pay with weekly paychecks, and paid holidays and time off. Star Leasing Company, not your typical semi-trailer leasing company. Visit starleasing.com to learn more.
Welcome back. Last segment here on Run With It. I'm Ray Dosky, and I'm Patton Cook behind the boards here in the Sprite and Spirit Family Fun Center studios. Patton, Going to talk some Washington Commanders as they got a new staff member there joining them.
What a move.
Yeah, I was quite surprised myself. I was really surprised. I knew that this is something that's been in the works, and I felt like this is the shakeup that Washington needed. They have the talent there outside the quarterback. I know that they're all big believers of Sam Howell, and I was actually I think it was on a Twitter space with the Washington media brass, if you, I think it was like CSN Washington, I believe, or it might have been the Washington Commanders. They started a space that was, I believe, Wednesday, and they had like other people talking about what the impact of EB being there, what have you, and lineups and stuff. I'm like, that's great and all.
So was Sam Howell the
unheralded? He's
already
right now.
the guy?
Yes, right now, because there's a lot of love that he got from his last game against the Cowboys. I think he was for about over 160 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 reception. He ran for a touchdown.
Okay.
So they love the Mox. He was able to make some great throws. I mean, we went through how many quarterbacks last year? Washington went through him, Heineke, Wentz. I mean, it just seemed like they just could not find an answer. And the Cowboys didn't send any of their starters. So now you bring in EB with this new offense. He gets to be able to put himself an opportunity to run the show, if you will, because we know there's been question marks like it was always Andy Reid was running the offensive plays, and he's taking a lot of heat. Shady McCoy was one of them about how that running back room, because he was a running back coach when he first started with Kansas City. But then you see Patrick Mahomes and Jamal Charles coming into EB's defense. And when I listened to the press conference, I'm like, how did this guy get an interview? He seems so charismatic. He seems like he was fun. I was like, wow, this guy is not this is not what is advertised to us. He sounds really good. He was able to control the room and stuff like that, made a lot of relationships. They had eye contact, and, he was able to speak eloquently. And so I think they had 4 or 5 of the Washington starting offensive members there in the front row, and he was talking, kind of pointing them out a little bit. And so I'm excited about this. I just don't know. Like I said, I don't know. The question mark is all about the quarterback position. And on that space, I was talking about, why not go after Lamar Jackson? Why not go out? Because they're about $100 million apart.
Yeah.
And then why not go after, Aaron Rodgers for 2 years? I would think I didn't even throw Derek Carr in the equation, but go get Aaron Rodgers because he's come out of his, I guess he came out of his
darkness.
His darkness, and I don't think he saw a shadow, so there's gonna be no Super Bowl for him for the next year,
right?
So I don't know what that's all about, but in terms of what happens there, I think that you can go get Aaron Rodgers and let Sam Howell kind of learn behind him. So I'm interested to see how it happens. You've got the weapons offensively. You got Brown and. You got McLaurin, you got Robinson, you got a plethora of players there, so we'll see what happens.
Now, the talk from an outsider, and I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, do you think there's any kind of under-the-table handshake that Eric Bieniemy would be the head coach?
I was talking to Bernard about this.
Okay.
And he was making fun of me. I said, that was put into the clause. The assistant head coach, I'm pretty sure he's going to take over the ring because I think that Coach Rivera is pretty much almost done here. I think he would like to win a ring, and I think EB is probably going to try to see if he can help him. It all revolves around that quarterback. That seems like to be the Achilles heel. There's a lot of, what Sam Howell showed that last game was great, but it's just a small sample.
Right,
so we don't know what to expect.
It's hard to take one
So we'll
game.
see what happens another full year of OTAs, mini camp, training camp, what have you. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're not going to be a market for one of these quarterbacks. I think you put a Lamar Jackson with that dynamic offense, led by EB's calls, I think they could be lethal there because the NFC is really up for grabs.
Sure
it really
is.
Outside of maybe 1 or 2 teams, why not? So I think the Eagles are going to regress. They're both their coordinators. The Giants, we don't know what's going to happen with Daniel Jones. You look at what happens with the Cowboys. They need another wide receiver. I heard there's tops of even probably getting Bernard Hopkins to come to be the other receiver. So I don't know. Who knows what happens? But I think that in terms of the overall class of the NFC, it's up for grabs.
Yeah, look at the quarterback dynamic going on right now. One of the top teams, Brock Purdy's probably going to be the starting quarterback, and Brock was great. But how much can you expect that again? I commend Eric Bieniemy for this. He easily could have just sat in Kansas City and had that offensive coordinator job for as long as Patrick Mahomes is there. Right. But he wants to be a head coach. I think it's a little unfair that Matt Nagy, and maybe this is Matt Nagy's fault, you give Matt Nagy a job, it flames up in Chicago. He's under Andy Reid. He doesn't look like an Andy Reid product once he leaves.
Right.
Maybe that's the
it's his second time being the OC, is it not?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He is back there as the OC indeed after Bieniemy does leave. Before we get kicked off the air, Ray, by the music, Russell Wilson. The Athletic came out with an article, pretty much a tell-all article, that's something I've not seen from a starting quarterback. Quickly, some of the things, has his own office away from the team. wanted to get Snyder and Pete Carroll fired in Seattle. The calling of the plays was not Daniel Hackett's fault. It was Russell Wilson, who could not relay it to the huddle. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. One player described him as a sack of potatoes type body type. Your overall thoughts on this kill-all article on Russell Wilson, which I thought was terrific, by the way, and Jim Rome killed it on air a couple days ago. Russell Wilson's kill-all story.
If you think about it in terms of what Russell Wilson's been able to do, he's coming in more or less to the Hollywood status ever since he got drafted into the NFL. I mean, you look about what the last call, when they decided to pass instead of going to Marshawn Lynch, you're talking about future Hall of Famers that are going to be wearing, because you possibly would have won your second Super Bowl, possibly even a third. Do you know how many jackets are going to put, you're going to bring Super Bowl, Hall of Famers out of that. And it just seems like ever since that call, it went the wrong way. And since then, the team has gone the other way. Career-wise, Russell Wilson, second floor where he's with the staff, I mean, they're kind of telling, you're pretty much a diva. And, if I'm the players, I'm like, they said they never go up on the second floor. So, yeah, I don't know what was the star treatment there, but, they showed last year that the players did not respond well to having him getting all this, benefits, if you will, being the starting quarterback.
Well, Sean Payton's got a lot of work to do.
He
We
does.
got a lot of work to do next week, Ray. We'll come back to the show once again. It's been a pleasure, my friend.
You too, my friend.
We'll talk more college basketball, NBA as well this week.
Yep.
Run with it. Nashville Sports Radio, Ray Dosky, Patton Cook. We'll see you next week.
See you later.